What's up guys, Sub-Zero here. This is my patch 12.19 tier list. This was a pretty big patch. It buffed a lot of the weaker dragons like Shi Oh Yu and Syfen and Swain, and it nerfed a lot of the stronger comps, like a lot of the pieces of the Xayah comp, Protector's Vow, just like the strongest item in the game. They pretty much took Nunu's kneecaps off. So yeah, let's hop into the comps right now. As always, we go from weakest to strongest. So this is my opinion, the number 5 strongest comp, and this is Xayah. So it's the same Xayah comp that you know and love, but it's a lot worse, essentially. They nerfed a lot of the pieces to it. They changed Jace so that he no longer has CC. He's still a very strong unit, but this comp is nowhere near as dominant as it once was. Prior to this patch, there was also a nerf to 6 Ragewing, so that hit the comp as well. That being said, it's still the exact same comp as it's always been. You play Xayah and Shyvana plus Rakan and Hecarim to get 6 Ragewing in. Jace adds Shapeshifter, and then Twitch and Sejuani add a nice little guild bonus to the team, while also giving you Swift Shot and Cavalier. Xayah's best items are always Gwynsu. She loves the extra attack speed from this. But once you get to 6 Ragewing, it's not as important because you get so much from 6 Ragewing anyway, but always up until getting 6 Ragewing, it's big. It's also just a really good slam early. Giant Slayer is great for dealing with a lot of the dragons late game and just tanky units, and then Renance also works very well with all of the extra attack speed. You can also think of items like Infinity Edge and Deathblade as being very good on Xayah. Basically, damage and attack speed is what she wants. Shyvana wants to be a AP carry. She wants to dive bomb the enemy team, CC them, and then breathe on them and basically one-shot the entire enemy team, or at least do a lot of their HP. Morello's is very, very good just because of the number of units that she hits. Archangel's is great as well as an extra damage item, and Ionic Spark, since she is dive bombing the enemy team, she can reduce all of their MR. So this is what I would say is best in slot on both these units. Tank items can of course go on Jace or Hecarim. If you get, say, +1 Swift Shot, you can easily put that on Hecarim, and then bring Hecarim to the backline. Something very important about positioning, this is the default positioning, but if you're up against something like a Zyra, you want to move Twitch to the 3rd row as opposed to the last row so that Xayah doesn't get targeted by Zyras. Now this might not happen because of how many frontliners you have, but if you get to a late game version of the comp and you add something like a Bard, then it becomes very important to put 2 units on the 3rd row and Xayah on the last row so that she doesn't get Zyra'd. As far as openers that get you to this comp, Astrals using Varus as your item holder or Nidalee prior to hitting Varus is still very, very good. You can also use someone like an Ezreal as an item carry and just play kind of Swift Shot opener, even potentially opting for a more guild-focused opener. So instead of this, just playing a Sejuani, and then even opting all the way into playing something like this with Cavaliers and Guilds and using Ezreal as your item carry. Eventually fitting something like a Zippy in later. Zippy isn't in our final late game board, but he's a very, very good unit to play in the mid game. And also, if you have +1 guild, Zippy can actually be a very, very strong unit to play in the late game, especially if you 2-star him. Alright, on to our number 4 comp. This is Mage Nomsy. This was a very, very strong comp last patch. They nerfed mages a little bit, but outside of that, Nomsy is still a powerhouse when she's a mage. Both the other Nomsys are absolute garbage, so every time in the early game, I think you should right-click on a Vladimir and hover over Mage, and then you can actually see if Nomsy and Heimerdinger appear here. You can see if Nomsy is a Mage, so that's a really easy way to tell if Nomsy's Mage at the beginning of the game. If Nomsy is a Mage, I would definitely look to play Mage Nomsy if you end up with a lot of AP items. This is just the 7 Mage variation of Nomsy that plays very easily from an Astral opener. You can see we're playing Vlad, Skarner, and Lux. You can hold items on Lux early and then just replace a 2-star Lux with another 1-star Lux or even another 2-star Lux if you find them. You can potentially hit Vladimir and Skarner 3-star because you play Astrals really early, so that's something that will be good in this comp because you're basically going to play them the entire game. Nomsy loves Shojin because she has a big mana pool, 90. She loves Archangels and Gunblade to allow her to get a ton of AP and then survive long enough to keep getting more AP. Silas just holds whatever tank items you have. Zoe can hold any extra items, so just a random Shojin or a random Death Cap. All of these are going to be very, very good items on Zoe to cap out your late game comp. So this is very strong. It plays very easily from the Astral opener as well. Also, if you just have multiple mages, you can put them in. If you get a Mage Spatula, which is very, very good in this comp, then you'll just want to take out a random mage. So Lilia is fine to take out if you have this much frontline. For a Mage Zyra, this unit is not balanced with a Mage Spat, even with the nerfs to her. I would absolutely put Mage Spat on Xayah if you can. If you don't have a Xayah and you're turbo late game, you could put a Mage Spat on Bard perhaps. He's a very good Mage Spat holder. And Soraka is another decent Mage Spat holder late game as well. It's a very, very straightforward comp, but a very, very strong one. So definitely look to play around Mage Nomsy if you get the chance to. Our next comp, this is a fun one. This is Darkflight Rengar, with Darkflight Essence being the item that you are giving to your entire team. So you see here, we are sacking Qiyana with a Cavalier emblem. You can sack a unit with any kind of emblem. So if you end up with, say, an Assassin emblem, you could sack something like a Twitch, give your entire team extra attack speed. So you could do something like this, or you could even think about playing or Assassins if you get the +1 Assassin emblem. Qiyana in, and Nyla in. Then you have to sacrifice a unit with an Assassin emblem, so you could sack something like, say, a Sejuani with the Assassin emblem, because it doesn't matter what this unit is, and she'll give you the guild bonus and the Cavalier bonus. But the really straightforward version of the comp that I think is very strong is this version where you're playing triple Rengar. So what's going to happen when you sack a Cavalier emblem is your team is going to get this Darkflight Essence item. So when the holder dies, it's going to give this item stats to each Darkflight champion. And this is actually not true. This doesn't even show all of the stats it gives. It also gives magic resist, and I believe one more stat as well. It's essentially a mini Triforce that is given to your entire team when one of your Darkflight units dies. So when Qiyana is sacrificed, she's going to give Darkflight Essence to these two Rengars, this Rel, and this Aphelios. You can even think about potentially frontlining these units so that they die very quickly. Though usually you want the enemy frontline to walk back a little bit, so maybe something like this makes more sense, so that when they kill these units, they don't immediately turn around and start hitting your Rengar. These are insanely good Rengar items. These are insanely good Swain items. You can itemize these, both of these carries, with 3 items, because the Darkflight Essence doesn't care about if your unit has any items, it just cares about if the unit dies. So even if you have a 3-item Rengar, when this second or third Rengar dies, it's going to give the stats to the Rengar even if he has 3 items. So you can come up with sort of like a 4 or 5 item Rengar, which is very, very insane. This is a comp that I would say is highly augment dependent. You really want augments like cybernetics, ideally cybernetic implants, because your entire team is getting items, of course. You also want some way of getting to this Cavalier or Assassin emblem if you can potentially get it, but just some kind of emblem. Cavalier is just the one that's easiest to get to because you can build it with a spatula and it gives you Cavalier for Rel. So this is a very easy one to build most games, but you really need to get this Cavalier emblem because the Darkflight Essence is kind of the core of this comp. If you don't have Darkflight Essence, then it's very difficult to play this comp. But this is a very, very strong comp if you can get to that Darkflight Essence and you can get enough Rengars and Swains. Swain was buffed this patch, and he is a monster. If you can get a Morello's on him, that is his most important item by far, because he really doesn't do that much damage on his own, but he is sending out so many little Dragonlings that with the Morello's, he's going to be burning down the entire enemy team. In many fights, he might be your only unit left, but he's healing up so much and doing enough damage with the Morello's that he can actually win the fight by himself. So really, really cool comp. Definitely check it out. Our next comp is Guild Daeja. So this is a really interesting variation of Daeja that popped up last patch and has been seeing more play this patch as well. People have moved away from the Cavalier frontline for Daeja, and they've moved towards the Guild frontline, which makes sense. It has synergy with Nunu with the Cavalier buff. Zippy has also been in a very strong unit the last couple of patches, has just been carrying teams. And Jace, even though he doesn't have CC anymore, he now becomes very, very tanky every time he ults. So this is a standard Guild Daeja board. You're only running 4 Mirage, but you are getting in 6 Guild with Zippy, Jace, Sejuani, and Twitch. The extra attack speed is very, very nice for Daeja, and just all the extra stats that your Guild units are giving to Daeja is very big. This is sort of just a generic Daeja items build, but you need to change what items you build on Daeja based on what the Mirage is. So if you have something like Dawnbringer's Mirage, you don't really need to build healing on Daeja because you're already going to get healing from the Dawnbringer, so you can just go full damage. If you have something like Executioners, then you just want to build flat AP and damage, so Giant Slayer, Archangels, things like that. I have a spreadsheet, so check it out down below, that has some generic items on Daeja for every single Mirage, so you can use that as a little cheat sheet if you want to know what items to build on Daeja for what Mirage. But yeah, this is a very, very interesting comp. As far as the early game goes, you would really like to play something like this, like the Guild early game that I was talking about earlier. So this could be your level 4 board. Ezreal item holds Daeja items very, very, very well. So you can do, stuff like this on Ezreal, put an Archangels, put a Gunblade, whatever. Ezreal holds these AP items very, very well. So put all your AP items on Ezreal, have him do a ton of damage in the early game, use this guild opener. This can just be your board at level 6, and it's going to do very well, and then you can just very easily go level 7, cut Ezreal, and Rel, add Nunu, add Daeja, and then boom. This is literally just your board, and then you can go level 8 to add the Jace and finish out your board. Very, very easy transition and a very strong early game, so definitely look at playing around this Daeja comp. I think it is very strong, and not too many people are hard spamming it yet, so I would say definitely look to play this comp. All right, so that brings us to our number 1 comp, and it is Syfen Shi Oh Yu duo carry. It's so cool to see this comp pop off. I remember early on into the set, I played this comp and got absolutely shit on, and I was like, what's going on? This comp looks so good. And it is a very good comp. The thing is, Syfen and Shi Oh Yu sucked back then, but they've buffed them both this patch, and they've nerfed other comps, so now this comp has been allowed to flourish. So it is a duo carry comp where you use Shi Oh Yu and Syfen, and sometimes even Pantheon, and even Jace potentially with AP items to carry your team. You get 5 Jaden with Shi Oh Yu, Jax, and Gnar, and the synergies are chef's kiss perfect. You get Bruiser in with Syfen, you get Shapeshifter in with Jace, and then Pantheon comes in to give you 4 Whispers. It's just an absolute beautiful, beautiful comp. The items on Syfen and Shi Oh Yu are mostly the same. They both really love Titans, Bloodthirster, Hand of Justice. Shi Oh Yu likes Edge of Night better, but Syfen can carry it as well. Pantheon generally holds your tank items, but they can also go on Jace if you hit, say, a 2-star Jace early. Pantheon also likes similar items like Bloodthirster and Titans, so they kind of all use the same items. You would just love infinite Bloodthirsters and Titans with this comp, but you'll take what you can get. Prioritize whichever dragon you hit 2-star first, so if you hit an early 2-star Shi Oh Yu, put items there. 2-star Syfen, put the items there. It's a pretty straightforward comp once you get to this board, and it is quite strong. As far as an early game for this comp, you really just want someone who can item hold this Bloodthirster, Titans, all these items early. Wukong is probably the most straightforward because you can easily get in Jade with him and play a Jade opener, which obviously transitions very easily into this, so you can hold your Jade units, throw in some Bruisers because you are also going to be playing that late game, so play a Silas or something, and then just play this opener. Of course, an Olaf makes perfect sense in this comp, so this could be a very, very strong opener with Olaf or Wukong holding the items and then transitioning into this comp very, very smoothly. So you really just want someone to hold on to this Bloodthirster, Edge of Night, Titans Resolve, and that's usually warriors. Someone like a Lee Sin would do okay to hold these items, and you could get in like a Karma to give Dragonmancer and also potentially get you to this Jade board to make the transition easier. There's a lot of things that you could do early, but I think playing around the warriors makes the most sense as a straightforward opener, but be flexible, play what you get. So this is our last comp, right? Oh wait a minute. There's some more time left in the video. Oh my god, with a steel chair, the 0th best comp? It's, wait, 5 dragons? No, it's actually 6 dragons. Now, this requires an augment or an insane spot. This is the version of the comp. If you get the +1 dragon augment, Dragon Soul, this, as you can see here, is one of the strongest augments in the entire game with an insane average placement of 3.88. Why is that? It's because of this new chase trait, Dragon 6. It causes your dragons to ascend. Now, we don't actually have data from Riot exactly what dragons ascending means. They didn't tell us, but it's broken. It's insanely broken. I have yet to see someone with 6 dragons lose a game. Every time I see someone hit 6 dragons, they go first. If we look at the stats here, 6 dragons is second only to 12 Lagoon, which is much harder to hit when you think about the fact that with 6 dragons, all you need to do is hit this Dragon Soul and then go level 9. Versus 12 Lagoon, you need to hit either multiple Tactician's Crowns or multiple augments that give you +1 Lagoon. 6 dragons is leagues easier to hit. You just play these 5 dragons at level 9 with +1 Lagoon. And of course you can fit 5 dragons at level 9 because 4 dragons gives you +1 to team size. So this is a generic dragons board. It's really the Shyvana, Ocean, Terra show, and the other dragons don't matter too much, so I put Zippy and Shi Oh Yu here, but it's really just whatever you can fit. I don't really like Swain very much because it's not like you want to sacrifice units, and Nomsy doesn't seem great late game. So Itis is also fine, Syfen is also fine. I would really play these 3 dragons and then slot in 2 of Zippy, Itis, Shi Oh Yu, and Syfen. But really, it probably doesn't matter what you play. If you hit 6 dragons and you have reasonable items on Aoshin, Shyvana, and Terra, I don't see you losing games. So absolutely, if you get the +1 dragon, look to play this comp. It is completely broken, and it's just going to farm you a ton of free LP. So that is actually the last comp. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please check out the link to my Twitch stream down below. And I'd greatly appreciate it also if you subscribe to the channel. I'm trying to go for more high quality videos like this that are edited, that have a lot of information in them. So if you enjoy these, also please let me know in the comments. Once again, thank you for watching this video, and I'll catch you guys next time. Bye.